Annyeonghaseyo. I'm Batja Mesquita, and I'm a professor of psychology at the University of Leuven in Belgium. Now, I'm a scholar in emotion, and my specialty is to study social and cultural differences in emotions. And I've conducted research in many different countries, and a little bit of research also in Korea. When I conduct research, I do research on the emotions of the majorities in those different countries that I study, but I've also studied emotions of minorities in those cultures. I want to introduce you to the book that I wrote. This is the book in English, and it first came out in English a few years ago. And it's a book about emotions, and the first thing I want to tell you is that our emotions are not what you think. We often think of emotions as deep mental states that live inside an individual. And we also think of emotions as universal across humanity. So anger and love, fear and joy, compassion and pride would all be building blocks of our mental lives, as surely as our cells form into organism. But nothing is farther from the truth. Emotions are universally part of human life, that's true, but they live primarily between people, not within. And when you understand that your emotions are part of relationships with other people, it becomes clear that your relationships may also differ as a function of those particular relationships. So the book will introduce you to the many ways in which emotions may differ and help you understand that emotions are context dependent and variable rather than natural and universal. Most of the examples in the book will show how different emotions are by culture, but I also show you some differences between genders and between social status groups. Most of the examples, the ones about culture, are drawn from my own research, but they're also from ethnographies on the emotions of people in remote and isolated cultures, and they are from historian analysis about emotions of people from the past. In each group and cultures, emotions are a meaningful part of how people do relationship with each other. And when we see that emotional lives different from our own can be understood from the different cultural norms, goals, and values, and from differences in the organization of our social lives, it becomes intuitive that emotions are neither merely natural nor subjective. But how have your emotions become attuned to your culture and social context? Adults tell children how to feel, but more importantly, they show them. Moreover, caregivers create opportunities for children to feel the right emotions. What those right emotions are may be different between cultures. So in some cultures, children should feel proud about themselves. In other cultures, it's important that children feel ashamed of themselves in the proper circumstances. What the right emotions are differs between cultures. In all cases, our cultures teach us to have the emotions that help us with the relationships that are valued in our cultures. And they also discourage us to have emotions that are not helpful or harmful even for the relationships that are valued in our cultures. Now, this book brings home an important message, and that is that from early age on, culture has made us deeply different. That is, by shaping our emotional lives. It's not only in childhood, but even in adulthood, others hold you to the emotions that align with your culture's relationships. In contrast to popular belief, emotions such as anger or happiness or shame do not have a universal signature. Instead, the experience, expression, associated physiological and neural response patterns, the moral connotation, whether the emotion is good or bad, and the social consequences, whether it affects other people positively or negatively, are all different across cultures. Interesting, knowing how people in other groups and cultures do emotions holds up a much needed mirror to our own emotions, to the emotions in our own cultures. Now, because it's so clear that emotions and culture are interwoven, we have to ask ourselves the question about what happens when we have emotions in the context of multicultural relationships. What happens when people from different cultures or groups meet each other? And that's what the last 2 chapters of my book are about. If emotions play an important role in mutual understanding, bonding, coordination, and collaboration, as we know they do, then what happens when our societies become multicultural? Emotions are the currency of many of these intercultural encounters, but we do not all use the same currency. Communicating across cultural boundaries means to properly respect and learn about the emotions of others and to more fully investigate our own emotions. Communicating about emotions is no quick fix for differences, but it's a sure way of humanizing each other and in the process, growing emotionally closer. Now, who would benefit from reading this book? I wrote this book for a general audience, actually for anybody who wants to understand more about their own emotions or the emotions of other people. But in other countries where this book appeared first, it was of special interest to educators, to clinical psychologists, to health professionals, and to people in HR and organizational departments of big businesses. So maybe a special heads up for those people. And my special message for Korean readers, I don't really have a very special one. I hope that you enjoy the book and benefit from it. And if you have any reflections on the book, anything you think I should know about emotions in Korea, then please contact me or write me. My website is batjamesquita.com, and you'll find a way to write me an email. Thank you.